we got the frame put together, the carriage. This goes up and down. It's going to be traveling up and down. We've got the corners put together. Next thing we're going to do is put on the guide plates, and it's a plastic plate that looks like this. There's 4 of them in the box, and I'm going to show you what bolts go where. It's a little confusing, so hopefully I'll get that straightened out here. But there's one in each corner. I'm going to start with the winch column. That's where I'm going to start, the taller of the columns. Right now, I've got a 3/8 by 7.5 inch bolt. There's 3 of them that are used in this corner. There's 2 on the outside with washers on top. We'll put a nut on the bottom, a whiz nut. It's got like a serrated bottom to it. And there's also a 3/8 by 7 here. So there's 3 of them in this corner. The only other bolt's going to be a 3/8 by 1.5 inch. It's going to go on this corner. There's nothing used there. We cannot get a bolt in this inner corner, and that's going to be true on all the corners. So we've got a 3/8 by 7.5 here, 3 of them. This is a 3/8 by 1.5 inches. So go ahead and put the nuts on the bottom. Go ahead and tighten it up. I'm going to go back to the rear column on the same side of the hoist. Got kind of the same thing going on. It's just a mirror image. 3/8 by 7.5 here, 3/8 by 7.5 here, 1 3/8 by 1.5 inches. Go ahead and put the nuts on those, tighten them up, and we're good to go there. Okay, I'm going to go over to the non-winch side of the hoist, and it's a little different situation. We only got one place where we're using a 3/8 by 7.5, and it's right here. That's the only place we're using it. Put a nut on the bottom, tighten it up. These 3 bolts are 3/8 by 1.5 inches. Again, no bolt being used on the inside corner. So we're just using 1 longer bolt there and 3 of the shorter ones. I'm going to go to the front of the hoist. Kind of the same thing going on here again. It's like a mirror image. We've got 1 longer bolt here, 3/8 by 7.5, and then these 3 are the shorter ones, 3/8 by 1.5 inches. No bolt in the center there. So go ahead and tighten them up, and we'll be wrapped up with this. Okay, we're going to start putting the cables in place in the boat lift. This is the front of the lift, the winch columns over there. There's a cable that goes through the twin beam here, and we're going to fasten that cable where it belongs. There's a cable that's in here that goes around the top of this pulley and down, and it's right here. It's a stainless fitting. It's a short fitting, but it's going to go in the hole where the hole would be nearest to the outside. Where the cable goes straight down, it's going into that hole. That hole won't be used there. It's kind of a multi-purpose plate. But anyways, we need a nut. We don't need a washer down there. And what you're going to want to do is to tighten that nut up as far as you can tighten it up on that stud. If I can get it on there. There we go. You can use like a 9/16 wrench here to lock it in place, but go ahead, pull that down as far as it can go with a wrench. Then when you get that done, you can go over to the other side of the twin beam, and the cable has a longer fitting on it, and it's going to be going up, and it's going to be going in the furthest hole to the outside. And here's where we use a washer, because we've got just aluminum contact up there. We'll put the 5/8 lock nut up there. And what you're going to want to do is when the other cable's tightened up the other side, you're going to want to tighten this up. So it's kind of about like that. You don't want it real tight after you tighten it. And we'll kind of get everything tightened up, then we'll kind of take a look at it. But go ahead. The rear beam, it gets cabled exactly the same way. Cable here goes up. You got a washer and a nut. The other side. this stud. Be the hole towards the outside of the hoist. And we're going to want to tighten that up as far as we can. We're going to want to bottom that nut out on the that stud. So go ahead and get those tightened up, and then we are going to do the other cables. Okay, we're going to hook up I've hooked up the cables on the twin beams, and I tightened them up. And you can wiggle it around a little bit. This could be a little bit tighter yet, but you don't need them real tight. This one's tightened up. See, when I kind of pick on it, it moves the carriage up and down a little bit, but you know, you don't want it like a guitar string at all, or else it'll bind things up. The next one we're going to do is this. There's two cables in this leveling tube, and they crisscross. They keep the hoist level from front to back. We're going to kind of do a similar thing. The fitting, the long fitting is going to be going up. The short fitting is going to be going down. And the short fitting we're going to want to tighten up completely. We're going to want to dead end it out like we did on the other one. You don't need a washer. Again, the cable goes straight down and goes into the hole that's furthest from the outside. But anytime you have questions with cables and where the hole is, just wherever the cable goes straight down, that's where it's going to fasten. So we'll put the nut on the back side here, and that will need to be tightened up, like again, dead ended out. Use a 15/16. I use a 15/16 deep socket on it. You could use crescent. And then on the flat portion on the stud, that's 9/16. So 15/16 on the nut, 9/16 on the flat. So if we go over to the other side where this cable ends, this is that same cable. It just has a longer fitting on it. This one's going to be going up, and we're going to be using a washer on this end. And it'll be going in the inside hole, the inner hole in that upper tube. So after you get the back end tightened up, the lower portion, you can go ahead and tighten this one up here. The other cable that's in it kind of does the exact same thing, except it goes the opposite way. You got the short fitting going in the hole that's furthest from the outside of the hoist. You're going to be putting a 5/8 nut on it, don't need a washer. Go ahead and tighten it up as much as you can. And we're going to go to the other side of this tube, the other end of the cable. Same thing. We've got the longer fitting. Going to use a washer, going to use a nut. And after you get the lower one tightened up, go ahead and tighten this up. You don't want these cables too tight, because what can happen is if you get them too tight, it will start pinching everything. It'll put a lot of pressure on the shivs. So you want them so you can shake them around a little bit. The last cable we're going to hook up is going to be the lift cable. It's over on the winch side. Well, actually, it's not. This would be the lift cable here, but we need the winch box on to hook that up. But the other end of this cable, on the back end of the hoist, there's a loop on it. Well, this loop's going to be going through the tube that's welded on the this side here. We're going to have a spacer on this side, a spacer on this side. There's going to be a bolt that goes through that hole, and that's going to hold the cable in place.